The opinions and suggestions expressed on the following program are solely those of the participants and are not necessarily endorsed by KRMG, Cox Media Group Incorporated, or the program sponsors. This following program is sponsored by Causeway, LLC. Information in this broadcast is not intended as an investment, tax, or financial advice. Matthew Moore is not a licensed investment advisor and speaks solely from his experience and opinions. All information in this broadcast is for entertainment or educational purposes only. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa are not responsible for the success or failure of any person's investment decisions or purchases. Matthew Moore, Causeway, LLC, and Cox Media Group Tulsa makes no and expressly disclaims all representations, warranties, and guarantees with respect to this broadcast and its sponsors. Investing in any market is inherently risky and can be financially dangerous. Invest at your own risk. Gather knowledge in the world of cryptocurrency right now on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's news and talk. Welcome to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Matthew is locally based right here in Tulsa. Questions, comments, concerns? Call 918-460-5764 or send us an open mic using the KRMG app. Now, here's Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore.
Good evening. Good Sunday evening to you. My name's Russell Mills, and this is Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Is cryptocurrency taxable? Well, I think the IRS sure as heck thinks it is. And how would you put that down on your taxes? That is one of the topics that we're going to cover this evening as we go digging for that digital gold out there in the world of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Happily, we've got a tour guide who can take us on that journey and keep us out of trouble. His name is Matthew J. Moore. Good evening, Matt.
Hey, Russell. It's good to be here. Love being in studio on this wonderful autumn evening in Oklahoma, which also means storms. So
could be. Yeah, could have a stormy night. Yep.
Right. So, but we're here to talk about cryptocurrency, and things are definitely not looking stormy. We're sitting around this $55,000 mark with Bitcoin. And if I were to be a guessing man, I would assume that this next week is going to look really, really good for us with the markets in general. Unfortunately, I couldn't have my co-host, Eric Cooper, with me today in studio, but he is on the line with us via Brick 2. Eric, are you there, buddy?
I am here. Can you guys hear me just fine and dandy?
Yep. I can hear you fine and dandy. I'll tell you what, man. How is Pumptober treating you? What I mean by that,
I love watching the prices spike. I mean, it's been crazy. I mean, obviously we've seen some real positivity, and so more and more people are starting to ask.
I know. I'm getting messages. I don't know about you, but I'm starting to get people randomly sending me messages. Hey, what should I buy? And I'm like, hey, I'm not a financial advisor, but I will tell you what I do. So, Eric, as usual, this is going to be the part of this show where we bring some news items, some headlines to talk about, some things that we think people should be aware of in the cryptocurrency space. In fact, it is official. A big juggernaut of a country, Brazil, is now looking to make Bitcoin legal payment. And according to Yahoo News, Brazil's federal deputy has revealed that Brazilians could soon be able to buy a house, a car, and even Mickey D's with Bitcoin. So Bill 2.303/15, which is, I found a very unique way to number a bill, calls for the regulation of virtual currencies and was approved for presentation last week. If it gets the thumbs up from the Chamber of Deputies, then Brazil looks set to follow El Salvador's example and make Bitcoin legal tender. So this is very bullish, in my opinion, for Bitcoin's price and overall adoption. Also big news from the data from Cointelegraph and TradingView showed Wednesday's dramatic uptick had topped out around $55,800. As there is high confidence, and there's a lot of rumors going around in the marketplace, that a Bitcoin ETF, which is a exchange-traded fund, will be approved by the United States. So that could be a big deal. So
yeah, Matt, I've been hearing that as well, and maybe people with the inside knowledge are front running the news.
Could be, yeah. Well, and Mike, or what's that guy's name? Mike McGlone, is that right, Eric?
Yeah, McGlone. He's a senior commodity expert at Bloomberg Intelligence, and he stated there's a high likelihood that the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission could approve a Bitcoin exchange traded fund, and once again, an ETF by October. And so he's also stated that the U.S. is going to follow footsteps of Canada, whose regulators have already approved Bitcoin's ETFs and Ethereum's ETFs.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Canada has definitely been on top of it when it comes to the ETFs. But we'll see how this plays out. You never know what might happen in this crazy world of cryptocurrency. And for those of you who don't know, an exchange-traded fund, which is commonly known as an ETF, is a type of investment fund that tracks the price of an underlying asset. So it could be like gold, oil, an index, or a basket of stocks. So it is essentially it's traded on exchanges in the same way that stocks are, which means that any investor, whether you're retail or institutional, can buy and sell holdings in an ETF to other market participants over the stock exchange. So this type of an ETF approval basically opens up the floodgates to more traditional investors and methods of investing. So this could be, like I said, big, but I wouldn't, myself personally, I wouldn't buy an ETF because, there's a lot of people who would though. So nothing against it. They could have, by doing that, the exposure, they could have exposure to this asset class and even Bitcoin itself in an indirect way. So that'll be really cool to watch what happens.
Yeah, and with Q4 looking to shape up as being one of the best parts of this bull market cycle, Matt, a lot of people are going to want to know about their taxes. So I think it's appropriate that we talk taxes this episode.
I know. I was talking to somebody this week, and they were like, "Hey, you're really going to need some deductions this year." So I was like, you know what? I think you're probably right. But at some point or another, go ahead.
I was going to say, as much as we all hate the tax man,
right?
That's one of the reasons why we decided to bring on David. He's Kemmerer. How do you say his name? I always mess this one up. It's Kemmerer. There's too many R's. And Kemmerer, and he's the CEO of CryptoTrader.Tax. And he's going to, hopefully he's going to have the inside scoop on what you should do and, what you need to do for this upcoming tax season. And that's, if you're already invested in crypto.
Right. We keep saying education, education, education. This is what this show is about, guys. And we want you to be safe. We want you to be knowledgeable when it comes to cryptocurrency. And that is why we're bringing on guests like David from CryptoTrader.Tax. And that is why we got the hookup, for the Bitcoin 2022 conference in Miami, like we've been talking about. You got to be smart in this space, and you have to stay plugged in. Even to communities like ours, we do meetups all the time here in Tulsa, and you have to constantly be learning because this space is always evolving. And we encourage you to consume content like ours. And many times when we're down at these conferences, we meet some amazing people, some very knowledgeable people in very niche areas of the cryptocurrency marketplace. So going to things like this to network, to build relationships, this is where it happens. And if you want to join us at the Bitcoin 2022 conference in April to keep learning, to keep absorbing, to protect yourself, to be safe, to be, position yourself to a better place financially when it comes to cryptocurrency, then I'd encourage you to go down with us to the Bitcoin conference down in Miami. You can get your tickets 10% off, which now the price is $500, was $400, but the price has gone up. So, 10%, that's still a nice discount. If you use KRMG10, promo code KRMG10 at checkout at my website, that's mattjmoore.com, we will get you the hookup. So definitely don't want to miss out on that.
Yeah, man. And, trust us, it's not only a blast because it's Miami, Florida.
Right.
And again, what's Oklahoma in April or Miami in April? I'm always going to go with Miami, right? But it's educational. You've got not only the speakers that hop up in there and talk, but then also you get a chance to go around and meet a ton of people who are innovating in the space. And so, I encourage everybody to go to Matt's website, mattjmoore.com, Moore, and we get you guys a discount. Saving 10% is never a bad thing.
Right, absolutely. And, when it comes to, getting involved in the space, depending on what type of app that you want to download, what kind of wallet you should use, if you should be a custodian or maybe you should use somebody else, like everybody's got a different place in life, different position financially, different goals, different objectives. And so when I have conversations with people about getting involved in this space and learning and figuring out what is best for you and your situation. I encourage you guys, if you are asking those questions, you want to, prepare yourself, reach out to me, mattjmoore.com. Set up a consultation because, listen, every solution when it comes to cryptocurrency is not meant for everybody. So, like, as much as I would love grandma and grandpa to be able to self-custody their cryptocurrency, it may not be the best solution. And I'm not saying that to be offensive. I'm actually saying that to say, hey, I want you to be safe. And until you can get to a point where you can learn to hold these assets on your own or learn how to trade them or learn just, overall where you think the market is going. Because I often give people advice that is sometimes different than what I'm personally doing. And it's not because that I think that, what the advice that I'm giving them is bad. It's just that they haven't done the studying that I've done, and I want them to kind of ease into the marketplace. I want them to kind of gradually get their feet wet. And then once they become more comfortable with how to operate in the space, then I'll be like, okay, have you tried this? Follow me on this one. So, again, I'm all about teaching. I'm all about making sure people are safe. But when we come back for segment 2, we're going to bring on our guest. He's going to have a lot to say about cryptocurrency and taxes.
Yeah, and who doesn't love talking about taxes? I mean, yeah, none of us want to talk about it, but boy, we have to, right? Because April happens. April 15th happens every year. And I'm sitting here thinking, well, I got a couple dollars in cryptocurrency. Do I need to pay tax on that? Well, we're going to have somebody who will hopefully have that answer for us. Coming up, you're listening to Cryptocurrencies with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. We are live and local on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Stay weather aware this evening. We do have the possibility for severe storms moving into the area. The storm center is staffed and tracking them as they head our direction. Looks like the timing is going to be later tonight. So just keep one ear, one eye on that situation. But let's get back to the business at hand. We're digging for that digital gold, and our tour guide is Matthew J. Moore. Welcome back, Matt.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. I want to welcome you to one of the only radio shows dedicated to cryptocurrency. There's a couple of them out there now, but we are definitely on the cutting edge, and we want to keep you up to date with the information that you need to know and understand in the days, weeks, and months and years ahead. So if you're crypto curious, this is the place for you. In fact, I've got my co-host on the line. His name is Eric Cooper, and he's going to let us know where we can tune in and listen to these if we miss an episode.
Yeah, Matt, once again, always happy to be on here. But if you have missed an episode, you want to go back and listen to, just the minor improvements that we've gotten better doing the show, or you just missed a fun topic, we have KRMG.com. Go to the on-demand section. You can find it. And now, Matt, we've got it hooked up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google. We're on YouTube. Pretty much if you Google cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore and any type of spelling, you'll get to us.
That's right. And things are heating up. It's going to get exciting. We are in a bull market, and I think Q4 historically has also been one of the best times for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So I think strap yourself in and get ready to go for a ride. And that's one of the reasons why we brought on our guest today. Eric, do you want to go ahead and share a little bit and introduce our guest?
Yeah, Matt, I think it's time to bring him on. Joining us live is David Kemmerer, and he is the CEO of CryptoTrader.Tax. His focus is on making cryptocurrency tax compliance easy. And that's obviously something tax isn't easy, what I like. So, David, we're super excited to have you on our show. Welcome, and would you mind introducing yourself?
My name's David. Started and run a cryptocurrency tax software company, as you guys mentioned, called CryptoTrader.Tax. And really, we build software just to automate the tax reporting for Bitcoin and all other cryptocurrencies.
I love it. Well, David, I'm going to start it really simple here. We're bringing you on the show for a couple reasons. But the first reason is, tell me personally, how to stay out of jail. Okay.
Yeah, it's not too hard. You just have to simply pay your taxes.
Oh, dang it. I knew you were going to say that.
Right.
Go ahead.
There's no silver bullet to getting out of it. Like most things that taxes apply to, cryptocurrencies are one of them. We don't like it any more than the next guy, but, me and my partners a number of years ago had this exact same problem and realized that there would be a much better way to automate the whole thing. So we can at least make it so that people don't have to think too hard about it and can just click a few buttons and be on the right side of the law.
Well, what are your thoughts on the government and their approach to crypto regulation and taxation? Because, to me, it seems like obviously we're still early. Different parts of the government are not even on the same page when it comes to regulation and taxes. You have all these different regulatory bodies that are trying to approach it differently, and they're actually trying to fight over who gets to do what. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. When we started the company, 3.5 years ago, the word crypto and taxes did not even belong in the same sentence, right? And now after the summer and over the past really year and a half, that has drastically changed as we've seen the asset class go to $2 trillion, right? There's a lot of wealth that's been created, and naturally governments want a piece of that. And that's only going to escalate. So in terms of my opinion, I think we're only going to see more and more regulation, as that's been a hot button topic over the past couple months. Do I know exactly how it's going to shape out? No. As you mentioned, a lot of different agencies have a stake in the game, whether that's the SEC, the CFTC, FinCEN, right? They're all trying to figure out the best way to regulate this. So I don't know how exactly it's going to play out, but it's definitely going to continue to be, one of the forefront issues that cryptocurrencies and the businesses operating within the market face.
Well, David, can you explain? You did a little bit with the explanation of your services, but just in a little bit more detail, can you tell me how you help somebody like myself who's invested in cryptocurrency? Is your product or software kind of a plug and play type approach?
Yeah, exactly. So it's pretty simple. So CryptoTrader.Tax, completely free to sign up and use and test out. But all you do is connect your wallets and exchanges that you use. We read in that historical transaction data, make sense of it, and then spit back out what your gains, losses, and income was in your home fiat currency, as that's what taxes need to be reported in. So for us here in the States, that would be U.S. dollars. And that's really all there is to it. Click a few buttons, generate your taxes.
David, now I sometimes will get a little happy and I'll buy something, test it out, and then trade it to do something. Should I minimize my trading of cryptos in order to just make my life easier with all the taxes?
I mean, you can. It definitely will make things easier, but software like ours is making that not a problem really anymore. So no matter how much you want to trade, no matter where you want to trade, it's getting easier and easier for systems like ours just to make it very painless for you. That's one of the most common things we hear from our customers is like, hey, I was afraid to trade in all these different places, but now that I know I can easily do my taxes, it's not a problem. But of course, the more you do, the more platforms you're on, the more complicated it does get just from your personal perspective, but it's really no problem for like the tools and software like ours to handle.
That's awesome. Now, obviously, you're talking about tools and software. TurboTax, how do you guys work with that?
Yeah, so our tax reports can be imported right into your TurboTax account, among other tax platforms. So, millions and millions of Americans use do-it-yourself tax filing software like TurboTax every year. And so what CryptoTrader.Tax does is, again, we generate those capital gains and losses and income forms, and then you can just upload those right into your TurboTax account so that it's included when you're filing your taxes at the end of the year.
Nice.
Okay. Well, what is the pricing like for something like your services?
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So to generate your tax reports, again, it's completely free to use and sign up and test out the product. But once you actually want to generate your tax reports based on all the data that you've imported, then you're going to pay anywhere from $50 to $300 depending on your transaction volume. So Eric, you mentioned how many times am I trading? That is where it will come in, right? If you have thousands of trades, it's going to cost you more than someone who just traded maybe 2 times, right?
Okay.
I love it. Okay, well, that's a good thing for me. I predominantly have not been a day trader, so I've tried to minimize my trades. I've been a hodler for sure, but I'm definitely going to take some profits as we get towards the top of this bull market. Now, obviously, you can't time the top perfectly. We can have some educated guesses, but for the most part, services like what David is talking about, I think are very important, because oftentimes you talk to an accountant and they kind of, when you say cryptocurrency, my experience has been, a lot of blank stares or fumbling or mumbling or, I don't know. Let me look into that. Let me do some research. So, getting with a guy like David and his company, I think is very, very important. So, what's been your overall, just real quickly, your experience with accountants have you been a sigh of relief for them, David?
Yeah, exactly. Because you nailed it. Most accountants are absolutely not up to par as to what cryptocurrency is, let alone, the tax implications.
Right. Yeah. And, it's funny because as we move into this space and time passes, obviously there's going to be more tools, more people that are more knowledgeable. I'm really excited to see the evolution of your company. I think you're in a great spot. I think the products and services that you're offering are going to be so important for so many people down the road. So, again, let's talk about this. Let's keep talking about this as we go into our next segment. We're going to have more questions with David. So stick around. We're going to go a little bit deeper, ask some questions. So if you, maybe you've been thinking about this, maybe you've been thinking about tax season, it's been coming up and you're like, you know what, I've been involved in this cryptocurrency stuff and followed Matt and Eric's advice, but, stay put because we're going to have more with David.
And don't call the IRS because they're not going to tell you.
Nope.
they're never going to give you the right answer. And that's as simple as just how much money did you make last year? Forget it. When they get into cryptocurrencies and stuff, nope. So we will be back with more advice, tips, and ideas on how to safely invest in these interesting currencies. Coming up, Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on KRMG. Well, welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. My name is Russell Mills. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. We are here live and local every Sunday beginning at 5 p.m. to talk about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, non-fungible tokens, all that interesting stuff. How do you get involved, but how do you stay safe? How do you avoid getting ripped off? Well, that's what we're trying to do around here, is make sure that you can learn what you need to know and not go down the path to perdition. And we are guided through the paths of righteousness by my good friend Matthew J. Moore. Welcome back, Matt.
Hey, thanks everybody. This is our orange pill broadcast, we call it. We love talking about Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, and if you're wondering what orange pill means Bitcoin, BTC. So stick around. You probably heard the term. You've probably heard the word. Maybe you're invested yourself. This is the place and show to dive deep and talk about some things that really matter. And one of those things that matters is what's going to happen with our gains, our crypto gains, and taxation. So nobody wants to talk about it, but we have to talk about it. So this is what this show is about. In fact, I got my co-host Eric Cooper. He's on the line with me as well. Eric, welcome back, my friend.
Hey, Matt. Obviously, I love doing this show. There's nothing better. It's my favorite part of the week. And I also, my degree is in accounting. And
really?
So this is a very big, I don't know if we've ever, he obviously is selling media. That's in real estate. That's not really using my degree at all, right? But at the same time, things change. And I know that in 2008, I never had a course about crypto taxes. And so most accountants, they're going to need some help. And so having David on with us, is just a terrific opportunity for us to help people out. So David Kemmerer is the CEO of CryptoTrader.Tax. And last segment, we talked a little bit about the government getting involved, the software that his company provides. And I'm just excited to have him talk a little bit more about it, because it's something that a lot of people may not even have thought of yet. That, oh, geez, you mean if I bought Bitcoin at 37, 38, and now it's 54, 55, and do I got to pay some taxes on that? So I'm excited to hear some more.
Right. Well, let's jump back into the conversation here with David. David, a lot of times we are faced with a lot of problems when it comes to taxation, when it comes to figuring all this out. We need the knowledge, the help of people. There's many scenarios where people face many problems. So other than, the normal problems that somebody might have with traditional taxes, what kind of problems do you see with crypto investors? What kind of situations do they find themselves in these common, tax situations?
Yeah, the biggest thing is when they have forgotten all of the wallets and places that they've used to buy, sell, or trade crypto. If you don't even remember, right, that you used, let's say, Gemini back in 2017 to buy Ethereum or Bitcoin, no accountant and no software is going to be able to help you, right? So that's the biggest thing is folks who have been doing it for a while and, maybe they haven't been reporting anything yet, but they're trying to go back and figure it all out. That is definitely a big pain point.
Yeah. So how can someone, best lower his or her tax obligations when it comes to some of this crypto investing?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways. The best one being to buy and hold and never even trigger any taxable events, right? Which, Matt, it sounds like you're a fan of.
Yeah.
But other than that, there are some interesting, you could call them tax loopholes that exist within the cryptocurrency space. One being kind of tax loss harvesting, right, which is a common strategy in the world of equities and stocks. But that is just simply when markets dip, which, as we know, happen quite often. And if you're sitting at a loss position, you can actually realize those losses and then buy the assets back so that you're locking in capital losses, which are tax deductible, right? And then if you incur gains in other assets, stocks, real estate, that's offsetting, right? And so that can very drastically actually lower your tax bill at the end of the year. So those are a couple options that folks use.
Well, okay. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, because, obviously we're talking about wallets. We're talking about exchanges, places that you might have forgot where you kept your crypto. And, people have concerns, when it comes to software and sensitive information. And obviously there's tons of sensitive information with crypto. What would you tell somebody who might be concerned about not wanting to reveal their private keys, seed phrases, or passwords? Does your software plug into all kinds of wallets and exchanges? And how do you calm those fears for somebody basically looking to use your software?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we get that all the time, right? And the best part about a software like ours is we require zero personal identifying information to use our software. The only thing you need to sign up is an email address, which, doesn't actually identify you. But, we're not filing your taxes, on our software. We're essentially a tool to allow you to aggregate and to build out the relevant tax forms that you need. But, we never are actually sending anything to any agencies. We're not sending things to the IRS. So that's number one, is we don't even know who you are necessarily. The other thing is all of our software integrations you're talking about, right, when you're connecting your exchanges or your wallets, we use what's known as read-only access. So let's say you log into CryptoTrader.Tax and you connect your Coinbase account. What you're doing when you give CryptoTrader.Tax authority to connect your account is you're just letting us read in your transaction history. We do not have the permissions to move or trade on your behalf, right, like you'd have to require if you're using, fancy trading software. Again, we're just tax software, so we're only able to read in your transaction history. So let's say, this wouldn't happen, but let's say our whole company gets hacked. The only thing that malicious actor would be able to do is read in your transaction history, right? They can't move your funds. They don't have access to your private keys. And so, even if the worst ever happened, right, we just have such little data on folks that it's not even useful. Now, that's worst case, but I think it's helpful to at least talk in those worst case scenarios of like what would actually be the risk.
No, David, obviously people are going to, want you to use your experience. What's the best piece of advice that you can give someone when it comes to, just staying tax compliant with crypto?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think honestly, it's a shameless plug, but I do think the easiest thing is to use a software tool and understand how they work early, so that as you're making multiple trades and generating yields and interest, you're just generally aware of how that's going to flow into your tax software. Outside of that, I would just say, keep a record of the accounts and the exchanges and the wallets that you use. If you just have that, your life is going to be a lot easier, because it's very easy to go back and track down what happened on each of those accounts. Again, where people get into trouble is when they just completely don't keep any records of the things they've used, how they've purchased things. That's when there's large gaps in their transaction history, and it becomes hard to account for certain things. So I guess those are my two pieces of advice.
And if I could just jump in for a second, you can widen that out to that's your digital legacy. And all that information, all those accounts, the passwords and all that stuff, if you got hit by a bus tomorrow, do you got a backup plan for who's going to be able to get to your assets? Are you going to leave your family hanging? Because this is all part of the larger equation here as we move more and more into a digital economy, is you no longer have the cookie jar, buried in the backyard with dollars in it, which I guess you should have let somebody know where that was. But what I'm saying is, like, if you've got an Exodus wallet and you're the only one in the world who knows your seed phrase, that money just goes away when you do.
Right. Yeah. And that's why I mentioned earlier, like when it comes to advice and how people should manage their cryptocurrency, like everybody needs a, slightly different has a slightly different situation, therefore calling for a slightly different solution. And so for me, somebody who's a big proponent of financial sovereignty and managing your own money and all of these aspects of it, I'm a little bit more technical than most people. And obviously I think as the space evolves, it's going to get easier and easier. So yeah, you do have to be mindful of this stuff. Do you have multiple backups of this stuff written down on a piece of paper, not on an electronic device, and stored in multiple places? Because what happens if you did have your seed phrase written down and maybe you had it hidden away in your house somewhere and all of a sudden your house burned down? Okay, well, was that the only copy? Well, yeah, you're out of luck there, buddy. So yeah, this is all the type of stuff that I have conversations with people. So if this is something that you're interested in, mattjmoore.com, you can set up a consultation. Be more than happy to kind of walk you through that whole process. But David, going back to the overall taxation picture, where do you see the future of taxation going when it comes to the United States? Because obviously different jurisdictions, even within the country, but also in other countries, are going to be competing for the cryptocurrency industry. Do you see what kind of position or posturing do you see America with the taxation on crypto?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the enforcement is going to get a whole lot more strict, unfortunately. So every exchange operating in the United States, right, is going to now be having to do 1099 information reporting on behalf of their users to the IRS, right? So as we saw, the now infamous infrastructure bill go through Congress, that will be passing a law on, really by next year. That will be law. And so exchanges will have to send the IRS, essentially your transaction history. And that's going to be a big one, right? And so now if that's just an automatic red flag if you have no cryptocurrency income on your self-reported tax return and the IRS gets a 1099 from Coinbase, right, saying that you have an account and here's your history. So we're going to go through a period of, folks getting up to speed here, but no, the taxing part of it is not going away. Now, what is interesting is the security side of it, right? How will crypto be actually classified? But that actually doesn't have a huge impact from the tax perspective.
Well, when we come back, we'll have more with David, figuring out, all this stuff with taxation.
Hey, don't forget, if you ever miss an episode, we got you covered. You can get on KRMG.com or the KRMG app. Go to the on-demand section and just look for Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. They're all there, except, of course, the secret missing episode. Only true fans will know what that's about. Hey, we're going to take a quick time out. We'll be right back. You're listening to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore on 102.3 KRMG. Oh, welcome back to Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. My name is Russell Mills. We are live in Tulsa, Oklahoma on a Sunday evening. Quick note about the Tulsa State Fair. Producer Bob Cooper just let me know we got an email. They are shutting it down at 7 p.m. because of the severe weather threat tonight. So if you're heading out there now or planning on heading out there later, they were going to stay open till 11. That is no longer the case. Shutting down the fair at 7. See the latest cutting-edge information. Just one of the many services we provide on Cryptocurrency with Matthew J. Moore. Let's get our host back in here. Welcome back, Matt.
Hey, thanks, Russell. And I want to welcome all of you who are crypto curious. This is the show for you when it comes to cryptocurrency, digital assets, Bitcoin. We have a blast all the time, and we talk about different subject matters that you need to know about if you're either thinking about getting into the space or you are in the space. And we bring some phenomenal guests. In fact, to help me introduce our guest today, I've got my co-host, Eric Cooper. He is on the line with us. Eric, you there, buddy?
Yep, still here. And you know what? It's starting to get dark out there. So again, yes. But what is bright is the future of cryptocurrency. You like that tie into the weather here?
Yeah.
You know, I personally love doing the show. I said that earlier. And so when we bring in a real world application, like people like David, you know, that's why we are all about education, Matt, is, you know, we want to make sure that we help you with even the stuff that, you know, it's kind of hard to talk about. And one of them is taxes.
Right. Yeah. You know, I mean, obviously, David was saying that things are going to get a little bit more intense. They're going to ratchet up their enforcement of it. And so, you know, whether we like it or not, the government's going to come try to steal a piece of our pie. So to prevent them from breaking down our doors, we brought David to talk about this subject matter. I think his life is going to get a lot busier, but he's with a company called CryptoTrader.Tax. David, has the overall response been, how has it been with your tax software? I mean, obviously, you're meeting a giant need. Do you think things are going to get a lot busier in your future?
Yeah, very, very much so. It's a good problem to have, but things are definitely getting quite crazy. So we're doing our best to just keep scaling up the company and, you know, bringing in more and more people.
Love it. Well, do you guys have any other features that you're looking to build into your software, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so we're really aggressively building towards the DeFi space. So that's everything from, you know, NFTs to, you know, Uniswap, on-chain stuff. You know, that's where we see a lot of the innovation coming and a lot of the long-tail growth coming in. So we're building in portfolio tracking features just by entering, you know, your public Ethereum address, and we'll pull everything that happened on-chain with that address and classify it for your taxes and everything. So we're really excited about that. Same goes with the NFT side of the business. So tracking all of your NFTs, tracking the tax implications. So keep an eye out for that within the next about month and a half.
David, now I, during the commercial break, went ahead and signed up for my account. Extremely easy. This is just a really cool thing. So we want more and more people to hop on. And obviously, as a friend of a show, we're going to, you know, push that. Where, what's you guys' social media presence look like? Where can people find you on social?
Yeah, I would just say follow us on Twitter at CryptoTrader.Tax. One thing I'll give you guys, you know, the sneak peek, we're fully rebranding to CoinLedger. So that's happening within the next month and a half as well, along with a completely new launched product that's built from the ground up. That's very similar, Eric, to what you just signed up for, but honestly a whole lot better. So we'll be turning into CoinLedger.
So, David, you know, I guess this would be a common question. What assets, crypto assets, do you support in this whole process? Because, I mean, obviously there's thousands of projects out there. How does that work with your software?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. We support, you know, over, I think it's like 6,000 cryptocurrencies and add hundreds every single day. That's all done programmatically. So we're not sitting there, you know, doing this manually. It's all built into the software. You know, as more and more assets come onto the market, our systems are going and, you know, bringing those into the system as well.
Well, before we close out, we got a minute or two left. Do you have any final thoughts or any remarks that you'd like to make?
No. I appreciate you guys having me on. If anyone has any questions, we do staff a pretty responsive customer support team. So any tax questions, we're more than happy to answer just at our website, CryptoTrader.Tax.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we're going to be at the Bitcoin conference down in Miami in April. It's where we ran into your guys' team. Are you guys going to be there again this year?
I am not sure yet. I'll have to ask one of our marketing people, but I think there's a good chance of it.
That's awesome. Yeah, we had a blast. And if any of our listeners want to go, again, mattjmoore.com. Use the promo code KRMG10 for 10% off your tickets. It's going to be a blast. You got the beach, you got the sun, you got education, and you got people like David that you can run into and meet and talk with. So, again, this is the spot for you when it comes to cryptocurrency, wrapping your mind around all of this crazy stuff. It's moving so fast. I'm in this space every single day, and I can't keep up with it.
And if you're trying to keep up with it, this is the show for you. So be back here next Sunday, 5 p.m. We'll be diving into the cryptocurrency world and telling you all the latest stuff that's going on. Thank you very much to Matthew J. Moore. Thank you, David Kemmerer from CryptoTrader.Tax. We do appreciate it. Thanks to Eric. And we'll see you right here next week on 102.3 KRMG.